If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope.
My father taught himself how to read, taught himself how to write, decided in the midst of Jim Crowism, as America was breathing the last gasp of the Civil War, my father decided he was going to stand and be a man. Not a black man, not a brown man, not a white man, but a man. He literally challenged himself to be the best that he could all the days of his life.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Hello, my name is Jamemy Barnett, and I'm the proud principal here at Buena Vista Arts Integrated School here in Ontario-Montclair School District. I'm an educator, and I love the work that I do each and every day. This year marks my 20th year as an educator in this school district. I began as a certificated substitute, and then went on to be a classroom teacher, and then moved on to the middle school as a dean of students, an AP, a data coach, and now the principal here. This has been a great experience for me. I believe, despite your demographics, your destiny is uncharted. You can go as far as you want to go. I grew up in North Long Beach, typical inner city youth, but through the love and support of my family and hard work, I was able to achieve many of my dreams. I believe that each student in this world and in this county can definitely progress and be who they want to be. Join me in this journey as an educator.
I didn't plan on becoming an educator as a college student. While picking up my nephew from Mariposa Elementary, I was approached by his African-American preschool teacher. I was wearing sweatpants and a tank top, as I was only intending to make a momentary visit to pick him up. Despite my casual dress attire, she eagerly approached me, asked who I was, and proclaimed, "We need more African-American males to be teachers." The enthusiasm and passion in her statement was followed by an immediate demand for me to meet the school principal. I was reluctant due to my dress attire. Nevertheless, I went with her to the office. I reflected on this experience for a few days. Then I completed the paperwork to begin as a substitute teacher in OMSD at Chafee Joint for the next 9 months. I also worked with at-risk foster youth at a group home while I was subbing. These experiences were extremely rewarding and convinced me that I could have a greater impact on the lives of students as a full-time teacher. During the next year, I was hired by OMSD as a 3rd and 4th grade teacher. Over the years, I enjoyed various experiences in multiple settings, grade levels, and positions.
As an African American male, I have had my share of direct and indirect racism during my lifetime. Racial slurs have been stated towards me. Purses have been clutched as I walk near. I have been ignored, bypassed, and overlooked in various situations. I have experienced several forms of microaggressions just because of the color of my skin. It's all hurtful to some degree. In some cases, I can assign the blame to individuals, but sometimes it has been a part of the culture we live in. There hasn't been one person to blame in many cases, but a series of unwritten guidelines and accepted practices that have been communicated and established over the years. Over the years, I have learned and been directly informed by other African Americans how to navigate through the education profession to increase my chances of remaining employed and/or advancing.
This extended beyond just maintaining good job performance, but also monitoring my personal appearance. Speech, code switching, body mannerism, and collaboration styles, these things are naturally important, but I learned them as a way of survival, as an African American in an environment where I traditionally been the minority. Unfortunately, I was exposed to this notion at an early age. While I grew up in a low-income neighborhood in the inner city, I was bused out out of my community to a school in a predominantly white middle-class neighborhood. These two environments were worlds apart. Nevertheless, at school I developed many meaningful relationships with students and staff of several different backgrounds and cultures. My years at this school helped me to see and appreciate others beyond my immediate neighborhood.
As the COVID-19 pandemic moved all students, staff, and families into distant learning, some of the disparities in opportunities, equity, and access in education began to become more visible to me. Then as we began to come close out of the school year, the tragic killings for several unarmed African Americans began to broadcast into our homes, illuminating the problem between some law enforcement agencies and the African American community. In light of all the recent events, our country has come to a crossroad where a change in some of our societal and institutionalized norms related to racism must take place. It's no surprise to me that the education system is fertile ground for the seeds of this change to be planted and harvested.
Each day, as additional societal concerns related to African Americans and other marginalized groups are broadcasted and streamed into our homes, the sense that something needs to change resonated in the hearts and minds of so many. I, too, surmise that some change, whatever it may be, needs to occur. I believe that now is the time for all stakeholders to have open, honest, and productive dialogue around the barriers which may prevent us from reaching our full potential. Everyone is needed to make this happen. The task of creating an environment where all stakeholders have equitable resources, equal opportunities, and sufficient access to the things needed to develop emotionally, financially, educationally, and socially is a monumental task. But together, we can turn the tides of injustice and denied opportunities into a better tomorrow.
This is my story.
This is where I come from. I come from a street hugged by a freeway and a home decorated with windows with bars. I come from being poor without knowing it.
I come from chicken frying on the stove and Kool-Aid in the fridge. I come from the grandson of a sharecropper and a preacher's daughter, hard workers, and spiritual beings.
I come from put together bikes, basketball, running in the fields, playing in riverbeds, and homemade slingshots. I come from homemade ice cream and banana pudding, cream of wheat, barbecue, and pork chops.
I come from I love you, you can do it, and I'm proud of you. From humble beginnings and discipline, from character and honesty. I come from the last spot on the team, from the essence of my parents' dreams.
From love, love, and love. This is where I come from.